Hi friends, welcome back to Ashley Opens Stuff, where we open stuff, and sometimes that stuff is crafty things. Today is a little more on the craftier side. We've opened up a lot of reborn dolls and vintage dolls, and today we're gonna do some fun things for the reborn dolls. And today I would like to try, this is my first attempt, to make a modified pacifier for a couple of the dolls. So the supplies I have is super tiny magnets. So this is an activity you want to make sure you have an adult, and a lot of reborn dolls have super tiny magnets in them. So that's why usually it's suggested that they're not for kids, or maybe for children over the age of 12, is because they have a lot of small parts. And this is what a modified pacifier kind of looks like. So we're going to modify a pacifier for my larger doll, Isla. And we're going to modify a pacifier for the new Gucci Vincenzo doll by Vincenzo's Care. I pronounce that way wrong. Vincenzo doll, yeah, Gucci. And let's check out their mouths right now. Okay, so starting with Isla, here we go. We got her magnet that we tested in her mouth here. There we go. And we're gonna use maybe this one. And I picked up these at like the Dollar General. Usually I go to like TJ Maxx, Dollar General, pick up something like $2-3. This came in a package of 2 for $1 or $2. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the magnet inside of here so it's less horizontal like this and more vertical. And I kind of got this idea from another reborn content creator out there called Reborns of Jess. So I saw one of her modified pacifiers going horizontally and I was like, that's genius, I'm going to try that, because I'm having the darndest time with Isla. So what we're going to do, let me grab my scissors. Forgot my scissors already. Oh, my brain. Thankfully, they're not too far. And I want to use silicone because I think these are silicone. Oh my god, this camera. Let me zoom in a little. There we go. Silicone pacifiers. You really need silicone. And I picked up this at Walmart, and you can see in the corner that it's clear. It also comes in white. So I grabbed this at Walmart. It was also slightly cheaper at my local Ace Hardware. So if you're price conscious, make sure you surf around a little bit. The magnets I picked up at Ace Hardware too, but you can buy them at craft stores too. So this is a clear silicone gel. Yeah, it's for putty for bathrooms and stuff, but it works. So once again, you know, be sure, have your family's help. If you need help, you should need help. I am an adult and probably gonna make some mistakes, but at least they're my mistakes. I got my old quilting thing down here. This was used to like protect my countertops when I went through a quilting hyperfixation. But all right, so we are just gonna trim, make sure it's in focus. We're gonna trim just the bulbous part off first because it's easier to trim more off than less. Okay, so now I got to thinking, I don't really want a lot of this metal magnet touching the doll itself. I'm kind of paranoid. So we're going to start out by just sliding it in here with some gel and see if maybe that's enough. Her mouth isn't all that big, so I'm going to try to get the magnet as far back in here as I can. And we'll see how that goes. I got to remember, this side is up. Get a little silicone gel, and this takes like 24 hours to set. It takes a little bit. It says 30 minutes, but I let it sit. Let me show you here. Boop. 30-minute water ready. I let it sit for a full 24 just to be on the safe side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit in the back here. Watch, it probably got, oh, here it comes. All right, so I'm just going to put a little pea-size blob. And I'm going to be careful. Take my magnet out. Not mess it up. And I'm going to slide it as far back as I can into that pacifier. Okay. And I might put a little more gel on the sides of it too, just to be sure it sticks. I do not want it moving. And you know what? I might put a little more towards the front. All right, see what I got here. So I got a whole bunch of silica gel in there. I'm gonna squeeze it around. Make sure that pacifier is kind of sort of in the center. Okay, so what I'm gonna do while I let it sit is I'm gonna take my trusty refrigerator magnet and I'm just gonna pinch it a little. There you go. Spam, not sponsored. I just have it because spam's fun. So there you go. Squeeze it. We'll let it sit and we'll see what happens in 24 hours. If it works how I think it's going to work. Okay. We'll set this to the side. All right. Zoom. Get this covered up. All right. Next, the Gucci doll. We are going to modify our pacifier for him. And like I said earlier, he doesn't have a magnet. His mouth should be deep enough to take a modified pacifier. So let's just modify one for him. Let's try maybe this one. This one kind of looks fun. And remember, we measured his mouth and it's about the length of, boop, 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 let me focus. The length of my finger to the bottom of my nail. So we'll trim off this first bulb here. And I'll make it a little longer, just in case. Let me focus. Oh, poor phone. There we go. So we'll trim off just this front part, maybe a little longer. Boop. All right. So I'm going to run over here quick and I'm going to see if that works for his little mouth hole. It looks like it would be if it was a little more flat. Let me go grab another. Do I have another? Yes, I do. Okay, so I was trying to get it in there, but it was a little bit of a struggle. So what I'm going to try is I'm going to pinch this, put a little silicone on it, see if I can close it up so it fits in his mouth a little better, and trim it. Is there an up or down to this? I want to say, is that right side up? Something like that. Let's get our gel out. Boop. And let's, put a little gel on the inside here. Let me show you. Let me focus not on Grogu. I want to see this. Let me put a little, oh my gosh, my hands. Just a little gel on the inside here. And then use one of my handy dandy clamps. Make sure it's the right way that I want it. And we're just going to pinch it and squeeze it a little. Pinch it, squeeze it a little. And we're just gonna let that sit for 24 hours again, see if it'll stick together for us. And then I can maybe round it off and see if it'll fit into his mouth. All right, and then I could toss these away. All right, let me cut to 24 hours from now and we'll see how this works. All right, Isla's mouth. So Isla's mouth does go in a little bit, and her magnet for her mouth is actually underneath her tongue. And I'll show you here just for some tips and tricks. I checked this one other day too. So if your doll has a slightly open mouth and you're not sure where the magnet is, put one of these little magnets inside something, whether it's a plastic bag or one of those fabric bags. Put it in something before you stick it in their mouth to see which end is positive, negative, and which end is going to pair with the doll's mouth. So you stick it in. Let me slide it to the end here. Okay, so yeah, I guessed right. So the first time I did this, I didn't have it in a bag, and it like sucked up into her mouth, and I had a heck of a time trying to pull it out. So put it in something, and like, okay, so this is the part that's going to attach. Now to remember which side I want up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little sticker on the top. Let me set it down here. Okay, so that's which way's up. This is, okay, this is the top of her mouth. Okay, let me triple check this. Okay. Yep, that's what and the reason why I'm making another pacifier for her is, let me show you here. Where's my, there it is. So she came with like a flat pacifier kind of like this, and it works, but it just has to try too hard to make that connection. Slides around a lot. It's kind of finicky. So that's why I wanted something to insert more in her mouth so that connection's a little better. But she can take one of these. It's just not great. Now, the baby, I gotta think about her. That one. She's got a little tongue in her mouth. So she'll have to take a magnet eventually if and when I ever feel brave and want to take her head off. But I'm not. Unless she's already like magnetized. Oh, I think she is. Because something's fighting me in there. Let me see, let me see. So, being that it's the opposite, it should take this side of the battery. Or not battery, magnet. Huh. There was a little fight in there that I felt. So she might have a magnet. I just got to explore that a little more. Okay, let me check Isla again now that I messed that up. Okay, now we're good. So this little potato, this little tater tot is my most recent dolly, and he has a pretty deep mouth. And we're going to do the very, very scientific measurement of how deep how deep his mouth is, by sticking my thumb up in there, and it is about a whole fingernail for this finger. So, okay. So I think he can take a modified pacifier. He doesn't have a magnet, but the way his mouth is, I don't think he needs to. I'll just clip a couple pacifiers and we'll see what that does. Okay, so now we got Isla's mouth figured out. We got little guy figured out. And next, we're going to work on Grogu. All right, friends, let's start the first few steps of replacing Grogu's body. Full disclaimer, not disclaimer, what am I looking for? Trigger warning, just in case this guy will be without a head at some point, and arms and legs and all that stuff. I'll get him kind of like down to the bare bones. And then I will replace his whole body with this new one. And this new one currently obviously doesn't have a head either. So I'm going to show it to you now just in case. So this is going to be his new body. This is Grogu's new body. All right. And I ordered it from Reggie's Dolls on Etsy. And it came a little bit weighted. It came with the zip ties, it came stuffed, and all ready to go. Basically, all I have to do is attach the parts, which was nice. Because when it came to replacing these bodies, I didn't want to have bags of weighting material. I didn't want to have bags of stuffing and all that jazz. And these came pre-weighted. Even the limbs are weighted too, a little bit here. And they came stuffed. So we'll start the process of getting him all set up with his new body. So let's see what he's doing now. I did make a video the first time I put him together. We'll take this diaper off for now. And these legs I bought off Etsy as well. They're just legs. But as you could kind of see earlier, his legs aren't really in proportion with his arms. And I wanted a new body just so he looked a little more proportional. And this is my first time taking apart a doll. So bear with me. It's going to be scary. But we can do scary things. Okay, so first, I'm going to wait on his hands. Let's work on his head because there's a thing I want to do onto his head before that I really need to sit overnight. And that is add a magnetic pacifier to him. So I have a fingernail clippers. That was kind of recommended over a scissors because he's got a little zip tie. And we're going to pop that zip tie on all of his limbs when we get down to it to get everything off. And this isn't causing me any anxiety at all. And I'm not totally being sarcastic. Not. I am. Oh, let me zoom in a little. So if I mess up, you can see me mess up. All right. How am I going to get this down in there? Oh, my silicone gel. All right. My goodness sakes. It is like clear in there. I wonder if I'm going to have to use something else to get that off. Just because it is so far in there. Let me try scissors. I can't get the tweezers in there. Or not the tweezers, the clippers in there. Maybe for reborn dolls. But yeah. All right. As always, be careful when you're dealing with sharp stuff. Don't want to cut myself. Don't want to mess up his plastic too much. I might have to cut into it a little bit. I can't. There it comes. Okay. So I got the scissors kind of wedged under there carefully. Let me zoom in. Wish my camera had auto zoom. There it comes. So I kind of went down versus up. Focus. It's hard for me to focus with one hand tied up. There we go. So I went down rather than up because I don't want to scratch his head. I'd rather mess up the body a little bit. Ooh, nervous. All right. Ooh, that's why we got to be careful. Okay. So I snapped the ring that was keeping his head on. And there that is. All right. So his head is off his body now. Okay. Now I'm going to set his body up here. And we're going to take a look at what's inside his head. Because I wanted to see if I could get inside of here to add a magnetic pacifier while I had his head off. Ugh. Oh, careful, careful. I don't want to break anything while I'm doing this. It looks like there's maybe a little bit of adhesive keeping it together on here. Come on, Pop. Okay, well, if it wants to stay on there, it can stay on there. It looks like there's maybe a little adhesive on this side, but at least I can get into his head. So what I want to do, this is careful, small parts, caution for small parts. Definitely Ask for help with these. These are a choking hazard for young kids. And we're going to use this example like we did for the other babies. So I can have multiple pacifiers for multiple dolls that kind of work. These I got at Ace Hardware. And we're going to use the silica gel again. We're not going to use super glue. There we go. We're not going to use super glue because super glue and plastics don't get along very well. Super glue kind of melts plastic, so that's not something that we want. So we're going to use the silica gel. I'll show you the bottle again just in case. And I got it in clear silicone. It says it's going to dry in 30 minutes, but I'm going to let it dry for 24 hours before I mess with stuff, just in case. And we want to make sure we got the right end on there. And I want to make sure I get this in the right spot. Let me make sure I'm focused in because I'm never in focus. So, okay. And I want it to sit like there on his face. And I'm going to use the pacifier to help me keep it in place. Nice. Okay. So what I did is I had one in my collection of dolly stuff. And then I put the magnet inside, and having that on his face, it's going to help me keep it in place while I glue it. And okay. I'll show you what it kind of looks like on the inside too. Best I can. All right. Is that centered good? Try to use my fingers in here to try to make sure it's centered okay. Let me scooch it in. Make sure it's in the middle of his cute little face. In a place that I want it to be. Take my time here and get it. How high? How high do I want it? That's too high. I think that might be good. All right. I think that might be good. Let me toss some gel in there. And then, oh, that finally broke off. Okay. Well, there's that. That makes things a little easier. Okay. Now I can see kind of where his little nose is on the inside, that darker spot, so then I can make sure, I keep calling it a battery. It's not a battery. It's a little magnet. Is right under his little nose, because that's what makes sense to me. And I'm going to try to squirt some gel on top of that. Try to keep it in place. Yeah, we're going to do generously. Just blob it on there. And then I am going to put my lid on. And then I have a wooden stick. Haha. That might be handy if you have like a popsicle stick. Oh, I got one. This is gonna be handy. Or one of those like, oh, they're called like cuticle sticks. This I just happen to have a little wooden stick, and I'm going to use it to kind of spread the silicone around and just blob it on there. Make sure it's covered real good. That it's got connection to the inside of the doll's head. And just moosh it around. I'd rather have more than less. Oh, it was good I tested it, because sure enough, it slipped down in all my horsing around. Definitely check it twice before you leave it sit. Okay. I'm just gonna set that there. Okay, so check his face. And these are strong enough to where when I did move it, it did kind of move a little bit on the inside too. I think it looks good. Okay, so we are gonna let him sit for 24 hours, like the rest of the pacifiers that we're making today. And we are gonna see how they turn out. Here's what we got going on so far. All right, wish me luck. We'll see what they learn. Well, we learned a lot today. We'll see what they look like tomorrow. All right. Ooh, magic cut. Ooh, and magically, it's not quite 24 hours later, but it is the next day. And so let's just see how this stuff's set up. I did kind of poke around in here, and I could kind of feel that the silicone gel was set up. So that's why I'm like, it did pretty good. So let's see how this one turned out. Oh, this one popped open. Oh, well, that didn't do any good. What the heck? Okay. Well, then I wonder... Okay, well, that turned out... This one turned out okay, so this one did not. Did I not use enough? Let me just feel all up in here. It might be plastic and not silicone. I just don't think I used enough. I'll have to use more. Okay, so we'll let that one sit. Let's look at this one. So you must just have to like... Oh, weird. That's just slightly oily. Weird. Okay. So let's look at this one. So that's okay. Weird. Okay. There's like this weird oiliness after I stuck my finger in there. Let me wipe that up and wash my hands just because I don't want to get Isla weird, the doll weird, when I try this in her mouth to see how it goes. Okay, be back. Okay, back from washing my hands. So this one, it looks like the silica gel did not stick to that at all. This looks fine. The head looks fine, thank goodness. Well, that's why we're doing it. This one, I knew I needed to trim it up a little more, but as I was messing with it, I noticed this didn't stick either. So we're gonna move under to, maybe this is more of like a caulk, like a sealant. It's not really a sticky thing. So, all right, plan B. I have what's called Loctite, and if you do some Googling around, yes, it says super glue, but I got the one that's good for hard plastics. Now, these are soft plastics, so I'm not quite sure what's going to happen as we glue soft plastic versus hard plastic. So this will be a science experiment for us both. But yeah, so there was Loctite for hard plastics and all. Yeah, anyway. So yeah, make sure you do your research on your adhesives. So we're going to see if this will work to help keep those pacifier bits and pieces stuck together and to keep that magnet in there. Let me zoom in a little more. Boop. We'll just see what happens here. So I'm going to use a little bit of this, and this does need to sit for a full 24 hours. Zoom in a little more. My fancy camera set up. So yeah, the silicone gel is in there. We're just gonna put a little bit of this Loctite on top of the magnet and on the bottom, since it didn't really hold. Then we're gonna get our handy dandy clips again, and we are just gonna give it a good old squeeze. It looks like it's far back there. Give it a good squeeze. Okay, then we're gonna let that sit. And then this. I wonder if I could just scrape. Yeah, that gel did not set up. It's weird. It got weird. It's almost like it didn't even like set up. Oh well. Okay. Let me pick out the gel that's in here. Okay, so let's try a little bit of Loctite. And I got the gel Loctite, so we'll see. So we're just gonna, whoop, make sure you can see, kind of, sort of. We're just gonna put a blob in there. I'm gonna put more there. Ew, and it smells. It definitely smells like super glue. That's also why I was kind of hoping that the gel would work, because it doesn't have a lot of fumes to it. Okay, so then I pinched it shut again, and we will let this sit for a while. We'll see what this looks like next day. Maybe I'll set this something like that. I don't even know. Okay, we'll give those a hot minute, and we will try that. So, all right, make sure my lid's on, and we will magically wait another 24 hours. All right, 24 more hours later. Let's see what these look like. Let's see. So this is the one where we tried the silicone caulk and it didn't work. So then we tried super glue, basically, or Loctite. It's a little just slightly different. It does look like it's pinched shut now. It's cloudy. I don't know if I like that, but I might just have to deal with this first one. Let's see if this fits in Gucci's mouth. Let's see. Let's just see. Let's bring him over here. Oh, come here, buddy. Let's just see. Ooh, this is a doll. Isn't he so handsome, though? Okay, so there he is. Let's see what this all does. So it's a little wide, but I can trim that up. Let's grab a scissors and see how trimming this works. Okay. Let's see. Let's just trim a little bit off the corners and see what happens. This is why I don't try to spend too much on pacifiers that I'm messing around with, because I'm still learning. Someday when I'm better at this. Okay, that kind of works. Trim off a little more. Someday when I'm better at this, I'm gonna be like, oh, look at this video when I first started. Look at all that troubleshooting I had to do. Let me turn it around. And there might be certain brands of pacifiers that will fit better in his mouth than this particular one. Oh my gosh. All right, come here, buddy. All right. Let me just stick it in. And it's almost like it needs to be a little wider. Oh, well, there went that. Awesome. Let's just try it with the sides trimmed. Come on now, really? Okay, so apparently I didn't even need to like mess around with gluing it. Like it worked anyway. Like all I had to do was really trim the sides for him. Ta-da. Good to know. Made that harder than it needed to be. Ugh. Isn't that just life though? Isn't that just life, though? All right, so there's that one. And let's see, what about Isla's here? All right. This will be interesting to see if that even... Okay. So we got the magnet in there. Of course, it's cloudy too, because it's not the best. I know already that I need to trim this back to at least the magnet, because her mouth is kind of small. So let's zoom in so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So when I mess up, you can see that too. So I'm going to trim this back to at least the magnet a little bit. Trim it off, trim it off. So there you go. That's kind of what oh, focus is a good thing. Okay. So I trimmed off a little bit more. Let's see if this works for Isla. Let's see if this fits in her mouth. Oh, I gotta do a naming video for Guchin. I gotta do that. All right, come here, Isla. Ooh, gosh, she's 8 pounds. And it's like, I like how big she is on camera because you can see her really good, but she is a little heavy. So let's back this off a little bit. All right. So there's Isla's mouth. All right. Let's see how this works. So this is kind of what we're looking at. It's almost in there. I think I'll trim the sides of this one a little bit. All right, sit still. Let's trim this a little bit. Trim, trim, trim. Every doll is different, but we'll just see what this does. I almost trimmed too much of it off because I'm cool. Okay, so I rounded it off a little bit. We shall see what this does now. Yoop. All right. Okay, that fits a bit better in her mouth. See? Thank you. I don't know if it's any better or worse than what I got going on because the plastic kind of forms a barrier now. But at least it kind of has the friction plus the magnet to kind of do what it needs to do. That'll work. Oh my gosh, friends. And you know, it's still not a perfect process. But if I get a wild hair again, I will take you guys along with me so we can learn together. How about that? So I'm going to get this cleaned up and then we will move on to working on Grogu over there. All right, hold on. Alrighty. Okay, so I got my good friend Grogu here. So we are going to put him on his new body. But first, yeah, this is all good. I want to use the stuffing in his body to stuff his head and see what happens. And just kind of see. Just because, oh, who in my collection? Finn, the close-eyed baby with the modified mouth, his head is stuffed. And I just think it feels a lot better than compared to some of the dolls that don't have a stuffed head. I don't know if the vinyl is really thick or thin enough in this one to make a difference. But I got stuffing. And if I use it up, it's less for me to store, right? All right, stuff that in there. And I'm curious. Oh, no, yes, no. Okay, I'm going to make such a mess. Oh my God. Okay, so in Grogu's body, there's a sandbag in the bottom. And I'm curious if that's attached or not. Because if it's not attached, then I will shove that in his head. Oh, it's, look at that. Interesting. Okay. So this is the sandbag. I'm going to take this out and put it in his head. And I'm going to try not to rip everything totally. Can I just pull on something? Like how sewn in here is it? If I had a seam ripper, oh, I wonder if I could use, I got time. And it's kind of in here with a light green string, like dark green Looks like it keeps the doll together, and the light green attaches it to the sachet here, or whatever it is. There we go. Okay. So, and we're going to keep his arms handy. I still want his arms, because we got to use his hands. All right, so let's remove some of the stuffing that's in here. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, we're making such a mess. Let me back it out a little bit. All right, so I cleaned out, what's his ears? Okay, and I'm gonna put this in here to weight his cool head. And then maybe put like a wad of stuffing on top of it. Okay. 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 And then we have this little cap thing. Did I get enough in here? Is there such a thing as too much stuffing in the head? All right. So we got the cap. All right. He's got some weight to his melon now. He's got some head weight. Next, we are going to try to attach his head onto this awesome body I got from Reggie's Dolls off Etsy. Came with zip ties. Let me just, hopefully this fits. We are going to stick it on. I want to make sure the stuffing is at least away from the hole for a little while. A little distance. And go down. Are you in focus? Maybe, maybe not. Not bad. We are going to slide it. Oh, that's not bad. That's fitting pretty good. And we want to make sure the zip tie fits around this cuff and into that little channel. Urgh. All right. All right, we are in, I think. All right, zoom in a little bit. Where's the end? There it is. Okay, ready? All right, let's zip tie his head on. Is this the right way? Okay. Is that it? Is it locked? Usually I hear the sound of zip tying, but I don't, so maybe this is a different kind of zip tie. Just want to make sure it's tight and it doesn't come off, but not too tight that I can't really move his head. Well, that'll have to be. Okay. Let me try to undo it just in case I did something wrong. Where is, oh, stuffing everywhere. Stuffing everywhere. Okay, it's locked on there. It's locked. Okay, so then what we do is we take our fingernail clippers and we just trim it down without snagging. There we go. All right, Grogu has a head. Oh God, please don't fall off. Okay. So there's this side. Next. Little guy needs hands. So we gotta pop his hands off here. I don't want to mess this up. Get the wrong hands on the wrong side, because that would be what I would do. Let me clean up some of the stuffing, and then I will get to his hands. Oh no, I already have his hands off. Well, I figured, you know, it was similar enough to when I had to pop his neck off. in that I had the scissors and everything was all willy-nilly, so I figured I'd just quick do it off camera since he just didn't need another unsafe use of the scissors. So, all right, so we're sliding these hands. They have a similar kind of ledge like the head did. And I suppose if you did get crafty and you wanted to like take it apart and see if you can put a magnet in the hand, you could do that. But I am so like done right now dealing with magnets. You have no idea. So let's just get, oh, what did I do? Oh, there we go. Oh my gosh. You see that? Okay. Let me just make sure I get this right. There we go. Get his little handsies on there. This one's kind of a little tricky because it doesn't want to slide as good as the neck does, probably because it's so small. And I'm just kind of working it down, making sure I'm still in that little track. Okay, good and tight. There we go. That looks good. It's tight on there. And let's just clip this down without clipping. There we go. One hand. All right, all right. Next hand. Zoom in on this one so it's a little more centered. Okay. Stick this guy's hand in here. Oh, what's all this coming out? I don't know. It's pacifier. Oh my gosh. I'm just making such a mess. All right. Make sure I'm in focus. Oh, there went his hand. I'm just going to squish this back for now. Make sure they're in the right position. Oh my goodness. There we go. Okay, I'll make sure this stays. My goodness sakes. Everything is just so small. Okay. And you gotta kind of hold it in place. Make sure it stays in that track. Then get it super tight. Straight and tight. Okay. Whew. Are we in there? Is it good and tight? So then we can clip this. Come on. There we go. My clippers are kind of dull. All right, and you could probably file those down too a little bit. I wonder if I got a file on here. A nail file might work a little better. Just takes the sharpness off. Don't want any sharp corners. There we go. We have hands. We have hands. We have head. And the head should still be able to take a pacifier. Look at that. My goodness, friends. We did it. Modified a couple pacifiers to debatable success. But I'd say our ultimate success is getting Grogu here ready with a full body. He's got a little bit of weight in his head, a little bit of weight in his body. He's got some sandy legs. I don't know if it's sand or beads, but they're weighted. I need a beverage now. But yes, thank you all for hanging in there with me, for all your positive vibes. Feel free to comment below if you got any tips and tricks. And I look forward to seeing you at the next one. Have a great weekend, friends. Bye.